You're up.
Okay, great, thank you. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's a meeting of Goose Beach Advisory Committee on November 17th. It's being held at the Village Fire Station. It's a hybrid meeting. We have some meeting participants on Zoom and some here in the room. I'd like to start with the approval of the minutes from October 20th meeting, which were circulated. Do people have any comments or corrections?
Looked okay.
Is there a motion to approve?
I so moved. We approved the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, great, thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you. The next section is for public comments for anything that's not on the agenda. I don't know if there's anyone here in person or on Zoom, so we can start here. Is there anybody on Zoom that's raising their hand?
Not yet, you got 17 people on Zoom.
Okay. Is there anybody that wants to comment on anything that's not on the agenda?
No, I don't have any, no comments on my end.
Okay, then we'll move on to the working group reports. I think the first one is communications. I know Holly had a conflict, so I don't think there's much to report from the communications area. So I'll move on to natural resources and Bill?
I don't have much. I did take half the steak and twine down from,
Okay.
I was gonna do the rest of it today, but it was, to be honest with you, I was out in the yard for an hour and it was a little brutal.
Too cold.
Yeah.
But I did note when I was walking on the beach, Friday, I guess, that there are a number of what look like abandoned kayaks and a couple of rubber inflatable boats up by the, from Dinghy Point down towards Proctor.
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 kayaks and 2 inflatables that, the inflatables kind of look like they've just washed up.
Mhm.
But those aren't cheap boats, so somebody must be aware that they're there. There's
Okay.
also a paddleboard. So,
I think about what to do with those. Obviously, during a storm, they would not bode well for the dunes. They kind of become augers in
Yeah.
the waves. But then again, they're private property,
correct.
so the town can't just go in and pick them up.
Yeah.
Can we put out something in our communications just to?
Remind people if they've left craft on the beach, maybe
Yeah,
it's time.
and- Yeah, maybe a picture. If someone could down, just snap a picture of them.
Are they all between Dinghy Point and Proctor?
Yes,
Okay, I could do the pictures tomorrow, and then I'll get Holly to send it
That
out.
would be
Has-
great.
Okay.
And let them, we really
there's
need
2, I think, that are exactly the same, closer to Proctor, and then there's the 2 inflatables kind of near the tides, and then there's the paddleboard and another kayak closer to Dinghy Point.
We'll just put it out as lost and found.
They need
Cool.
to be off the beach. I
Yeah.
wonder if there might
Yeah.
not be some legal culpability if they broke loose and damaged somebody's steps. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
need to get their property off the beach.
Yeah, I think you're right. And John, I mean, your comment that there's private property, so we can't touch it, makes me have a little question there. It's the beach. Most of it is public property owned by the town now. And
These items are private property.
I know, but if people don't have a right to just leave private property laying around, especially something that could become a projectile or damaging to either the environment. So hopefully they'll come, but at some point, if they really are abandoned, or as Bill said, washed
Forgotten
in.
about, I'd say forgotten about.
Yeah, forgotten about, then, with a reasonable point, I think, when we getting into the potential storm, or if something is even predicted, just for the safety of the beach, and I would think we would still have a right that wouldn't be challenged to take them someplace off the beach so that they're not gonna, if DPW can pick them up and keep them over there, I'm not saying throw them out or destroy them.
Once you pick them up, you take responsibility for them. So we'd really
Yeah, but-
rather not do that.
Oh, I
let's
understand
go
that
this way
completely.
first and see where we
Yeah,
go.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take some pictures and circle back with Holly on that, so, okay, thanks for the update on that, Bill. Did you have anything else?
No.
Okay, perfect. We're gonna move on to public safety. I know we spent some time on that at the last meeting, and, Chaz and I went to the select board meeting, and I don't know, John, if you wanna kinda give us a quick update on where we are on the public safety issues in terms of some of the stuff that was raised on the stop sign and.
Yeah, that's
Speed
right, at the
signs, yeah.
stop, there were the request to consider a 3-way stop at Dyke Road. As I mentioned, the select board made a field trip. It's kind of fun. We get to make field trips. We have to announce them as public meetings, because we can't have more than 2, which is the state rule. So we had a public meeting at the 3-way stop, And I'm pleased to say that the board agreed. Eric was there from Public Works. We talked about several possible scenarios, and where we ended up is we're basically going to paint in a three-way stop. So the fog lines, the white lines that define the roadway, will be where they, as you're coming into the beach on Dyke Road, where they now wrap around as you're going to head west. Those will be taken away and the lines will continue straight and then come to a stop bar with a stop sign placed there in the pavement, small little island around it. And that will be the stop when you're coming to the beach. The other two stops will probably stay where they are. There's some talk about maybe moving the west stop as you're heading east, approaching from the west end, to move that back so it is in front of the dike access to the beach. So people are stopping before they get to where someone might be walking across.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we're looking at. The concern is sight line. So if we can get proper sight line, then that will probably be moved back. Sight line to where people are coming from the east, but that's the current plan. Sorry not to have a picture, but it's really an arm waving stage right now.
And
Well,
it
no,
was-
that's great, thank you for the
That's
progress
wonderful,
on
and
that.
it seems as though the sightline problem might be somewhat relieved by the fact that if we're putting a stop sign coming down from Dyke Road coming down to the beach, so in the past, there was no need for those cars to stop, so you really had to be concerned about the sightline as you were stopping coming from the west end into Dyke Road, so, or that would be great, though.
Yeah, so
That's why that other stop sign coming west on on Kings Highway
Yeah.
towards the store was so helpful
Yeah.
for people coming off the west end, because
Mhm.
they no longer have to inch out and make sure nobody's
Right.
Right.
speeding around, because they
Right.
know those cars are
Yeah.
gonna stop. So I think the
At
three-way
least
stop,
they trust those cars are gonna stop.
Well,
Okay.
well, you still have to look.
No, that's great, and then I guess the other thing, just that falls under public safety, is just the speed bump on New Bedford Road.
The speed bumps, there's been discussion at the board, on the select board, that in responding to Eric's, our Public Works concern about the wear and tear on the underlying pavement due to the fact that these temporary speed bumps need to be set in with pins. And then over the years, that pavement becomes very unstable. In fact, we're gonna have to cut it all out and repave where they were. So the suggestion is not to replace those speed bumps. Now, that opens, okay, what do we do to slow people down? Because that's still something we need to do in that area, and we fully appreciate that. The hope is that we'll find a constructive way to use the 4 speed signs that are in the budget. I know I will fight to get them. I feel pretty confident we'll have those in place for, I probably shouldn't say that, but I'll say it. I said it, didn't I?
Okay, well,
That
remember,
we'll have those in place, you won't quote me, for the next season. So my hope is that the board, that we would accommodate the select board wishes to not have those speed bumps there through a recommendation or at least an agreement to have them removed. But then our working group would look at what we would propose to help improve the safety in that stretch of New Bedford where we know folks are often traveling too fast without some sort of deterrent. So that's where we are.
so I guess Chaz, as head of the public safety working group, we're hoping that maybe by the January meeting that we're gonna put together for the 13th, that you might be able to come up with some recommendations or thoughts from your group.
Sure, of course we can do that, Pam. As I know this is an issue that people feel strongly about both ways, so I guess the idea of encouraging a raceway down New Bedford Road is not high on our agenda. But I know other places have various ways of dealing with this issue that may not involve bolting into the highway for a seasonal traffic control of some sort. But we'll convene the group sometime between now and the January meeting and see what we can come up with. And if there are people in attendance here who have perspective on any of this, we welcome being in contact with me or Barry Engel, who's also on the working group. But we can certainly do that by the January meeting.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Chaz.
Would there be any concern on the part of this board if I say to our select board that the Beach Advisory Committee understands the issue and is willing to not have the temporary speed bumps replaced next season? Is that an acceptable response from this group?
I haven't consulted the working group yet, John. I don't think I
Yeah.
could probably say that and be honest about it.
Then, all right, but that's gonna take action from the board. I would ask that you would please do that before the next select board meeting,
Which is when?
which is the 11th of, hold on a second. Be the second weekend of, actually, we've got a warrant signing, but that's not a good one. Let's do it at the December meeting, which is the second, December 11th.
Yeah, I'll see what we can do, because the issue is not only to get people's views, but to come up with alternatives that make sense. That requires a little research and
Well, that
maybe-
I don't think would be required at this point by the 11th. I just would like to have a recommendation, or at least an agreement from this group, or a disagreement, one way or the other.
Right.
in
I
terms-
understand, yeah.
Yeah, on the 11th. So can you do that for me?
I can convene my group, have to coordinate with Pam on if we can have a ad hoc meeting with this
We don't
group.
have a regular meeting scheduled between now and then, so,
Emails work fine.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
But I think that overall, this is great news with the stop sign and the others. I've been in touch with the town official who's got charge of the good neighbor policy that we also talked about, and we've been trading calls. We haven't connected. But Holly and I did have a meeting together to talk about steps we can take in the new year to beef up a community awareness campaign, which was also on our list of recommendations.
Good, that's a good one.
And that'll be good too, to also to educate people about the stop sign and stuff too, so people read about it and then they see it.
Yep.
If we can, I don't know, they may not read it, but can try.
And it also needs to be in the rental agreements. There's a lot we can do to
Yep.
try to communicate the issue and the importance. We have this thing coming up with drinking during Prelude. There's a lot of visitors that come to our town, and they're either in summer mode or they're in Christmas mode, but they don't treat our town like it's where people live. They treat it as a place to visit and party. And it needs to be both. It doesn't need to not be a place to visit and party, but we need to understand that people live here, and it needs to be respected. So thank you.
Okay, perfect, that's great, thank you. Anything else on public safety?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so move on to old business. I feel like this is a perpetual topic, but commercial activity on the beach. John, I'll turn to you on that one.
We have scheduled another meeting with EOS. Things have not progressed as quickly as we had hoped, so we are entering in discussions with them again on the just this coming Thursday, I believe. So this week, if not next week, we'll be in discussions with them again. So things are progressing. The town is talking, and we're moving forward.
Okay, all right, thank you for the update on that, John. I think this brings us to the last item on the agenda, which I would like to spend some time on tonight. As you know, there's a group of people that have been working over the last 10 months on this conversation about parking, which I think is really important to a number of constituents, not just the people that live at the beach. So Kate Bauer-Burke, Wendy Bosley, John, and Pat Souza and I have been working on this, and I just wanted to kind of give you a quick kind of background and then let Pat sort of talk a little bit more about what we've come to realize. And I think one of the things I'd like to just remind people that under the purview of the beach use agreement, we have 173 spots at the beach that we need to maintain. And I think, we spent a lot of time, Pat and I walked with John and with the police chief and walked all the spots that are here. We really understand that parking is a high priority. We thought we did the walking in July and August when it was high season. And we think, we wanted to try take an opportunity to, figure out where the spots should be and if there's any room for improvement. And we're trying to take into account all the constituents that are here. But it's a good opportunity just with the paving that was done. If we need to restripe things in the spring, that'll be a good time to do it. So what we did was we reviewed the beach use agreement in terms of what the parking situation was outlined in there. Then we looked at kind of where the spots were in terms of the maps that are available and things like that. And then we walked Kings Highway, Dyke Road, New Bedford Road, and Kings Lane, which were some of the spots that we thought had some challenges. And that sort of helped us to observe what the usage patterns were and what was going on. We also looked at hazards from the pedestrian standpoint and vehicle traffic. And then the other challenge that we have is environmental degradation in terms of some of the parking spots on Dyke Road where people are actually parking off the pavement into the marsh, which is an ecological challenge. And then Kings Lane is one where we had some challenges, but the town did a really nice job of kind of streamlining some of that, cleaning some of that up and making those spots a little bit more accessible. So I think we also, worked with, as I said, the police chief, Lori, and John's been instrumental here just in terms of trying to have an open dialogue about what the issues are. And what I'd like to do today is Pat's going to finish the presentation on where we are and really open it up for a discussion, and then I'd like to have a recommendation come from the Beach Advisory Committee to the Select Board out of our January meeting. So that's just sort of the timeline in terms of where we are. But I'm going to turn it over to Pat to sort of talk a little bit more about what our thoughts are.
Hi, Pat Souza. Thank you for letting me participate in this. I wanted to first say I found it extremely informative, and I actually got a lot of steps in, so thank you this summer. So after, as Pam said, all the walking we did, all the evaluations we did, we came up with some key results. And one of the key results we came up with was the parking identification. There are various types of parking spots were identified. We have single spots, we have groups with multiple parking, and then there's actually parking with no marking at all. One of the other evaluations we saw was on Dyke Road concerns. We noticed there was some noticeable erosion along the side of the road, and these are the spots closest to Route 9, after the bridge. There were a few there that you could see the marsh was starting to erode a little bit. And some safety concerns. The safety concern we saw was actually on an intersection, on Bellywood Ave intersection. We find that there was probably some insufficient vehicle turning radius there. And that could be a safety problem. So that was one of the things we identified. And the last thing we identified there was also in Kings Lane on the east end. Parking spots there needed to have some brush removed and actually making it more accessible to park a vehicle. And then we went on so now I'll talk about some of the recommendations that as our group made. And I have about 8 of them, so I'll go through them. Stop me if you want me to, if there's anything you want to ask me. Recommendations. We felt that we needed to clearly define the parking spots. And parking spots along Kings Highway, Dyke Road, New Bedford Road, all need to be clearly singly marked. Okay. Single marks, okay, instead of multiple. Because what happens sometimes, and we saw that during the summer, someone pulls in and may take 2 spots, and then there's a spot empty, and someone's parking into someone's driveway. So I think if we can clearly park them for the public, we're doing the right thing. The next one was on the Dyke Road. There were some relocations. Those 6 spots we were talking about closest to Route 9, the ones that are causing some erosion there, that we need to relocate those to help prevent any further erosion that we're seeing. Kings Highway and Bellwood Ave, that's where we talked about where the turning radius, we needed to really relocate that spot also. So keep in mind, we have 73, so anything I talk about relocate, now we got to find where to put them. So that was one spot.
Hold on 1 second, Pat, if you would.
I'm sorry.
And I'm just now getting myself oriented. Let me just show where those spots are when
Okay.
you're speaking to them.
Okay.
So, can you see this on the screen? I'm just looking at my screen. Is it
Yep.
showing up well there?
Yep.
This is what the folks at home
Okay.
we're seeing.
Yeah, so Kings High, you're gonna go
Yeah,
the Dyke
So
Road?
this is Dyke Road
Yes.
coming down into Kings Highway.
Yep.
And these are the 6 spots that are on the Route 9 side of the parking. That in red, we're suggesting they be removed. In blue, there's no change, and you'll see some later in green, where we are suggesting to add parking spaces. So these were the 6 that
Those are
you
the
spoke of
6 for-
first.
Yes, those are the 6 to
And
relocate.
then let's come down Dyke Road together.
To
We'll
Bellwood?
zip along, and here we are at Bellwood. And
Yeah.
this is the spot that currently exists that we're suggesting be taken out of the 173, this just not be removed totally.
Okay. Okay, and then if you move down to Kings Lane, which is way down in the east end, where well, actually, we can talk about that, but actually what we're gonna suggest, we're suggesting to make it brush being cleared and actually the spaces being more accessible, and actually the town did that.
I mean,
The
that's-
town
Yeah,
did
it's
that.
all done.
Yeah, the town
is
did
great.
that before the summer. There's 7 spots there, and actually it came out really nice. So the town had done that before the high season, so that was great. And then if you move down to New Bedford Road, we're recommending that we relocate 3 spots that are closest to the Route 9 end to accommodate, there was a new home placed there, and to reduce the congestion and improve safety there, at the very, very end. Because that's where the parking stops, yep. So those are 3 that we recommend. Okay, I'm actually done with the roads right now. I have 3 other recommendations. You want me to do those first, John? We don't, or you want to show where they're gonna go?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so the 6th thing we talked about, as a group, we talked about, how about trying to accommodate some designated parking for the Kennebunkport taxpayers? And we came up with some ideas. Create designated parking spaces for KPT taxpayers to maintain a balance between the public and taxpayers. So we're looking at that, if we could come up with some idea of designating certain areas for the town residents. Okay, number 7 was really to enhance our communication, to provide clear and updated communications regarding the parking spots, including updating all our maps and actually making sure the information on the website is all clear and correct, because we found some discrepancies between that. And number 8, to maintain ongoing monitoring and enforcement. And that's to collaborate with the town to monitor and enforce parking regulations, particularly during the peak summer season. So those are the recommendations we came, and I think we did a great job.
No,
It's a lot
thank
of
you,
work.
Pat, for you did an incredible amount of work on this, so we
Mhm.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
John, do you want to show some of the other spots that,
Sure, what's added?
yeah, we talked about where we're going to take spots away, but we want to talk a little bit more about where we want to maintain the 173 and how we would do that. So I'll let John drive the bus on that part.
All right, so we had, how many spots we needed to add? I think we needed to relocate. We accomplished that in 2 areas, in what we're recommending. One is to add, moving down to the west end, another spot at the far west end. To come in, which would be a spot right here. There's some concern has been mentioned about the driveway approach here, which I can see would make some sense. What we would then do is just probably move that spot down to here. So we'd have another spot just added in this area right here. Either of those could be accommodated very easily. So one additional spot at the west end. And then,
John, let me just add,
yeah,
you know, the congestion of that area on a weekend between the bikes coming down and leaving them and the strollers coming down and everybody turning around by driving.
Well, let's talk a minute. Let me show you where we're proposing them, and then let's
Well,
have a discussion on the spots. So that's a good thing to do. The other spots are looking at the Kings Highway area. There were concern here about the speed. One of the advantages of having parking along the side of the road is it provides what is known as an element of friction, a visual friction that helps keep the speed down. Instead of just seeing a wide open road, it's similar to when we painted the lines along the road to define it. All these are elements that can help. And if we looked with the chief at the possibility of moving some of this parking both east and west of the Dyke Road intersection coming into Kings Highway. So here there would be 8 spots that can be located in this area now west of Kings Highway. So you're coming down Kings Highway, Dyke Road. There'll be the new intersection here at Dyke Road. And as you're heading west, we're recommending 8 spots here with a turnaround at the pump station right here. So folks would come, they're able to turn around and then have 8 spots lying along the south side of Kings Highway. And similarly, on the east side, there would be room for 3 spots, 2 here and 1 here. Again, this is the one spot that we removed that's at the Bellwood turn. So this is the suggestion for the spots. Now, one thing to add into the mix is this thought of being able to accommodate town residents with resident-only parking, and that should be resident and taxpayers. When we're speaking of resident, this is the sense of the resident sticker that we get as taxpayers in Kennebunkport. And our suggestion is that we would make everything west of Dyke Road on Kings Highway resident-only parking. So this would provide the 8 spots here and what would now be 5 spots down at the west end. I think one of the real advantages of this is that transients now coming will see it clearly marked that it is resident parking, no day parking, when they come into Dyke Road. We'll have a sign right there. I think this sign's an important one. I know we've got concerns about signs, but this is rather critical. So folks would know not to turn right at all to try to find parking. So we would greatly lessen, if not eliminate, the folks that are driving down like crazy looking for parking, not finding it, turning around and whipping back, which to me is one of the more critical factors in the safety at the west end. And likewise, the thought would be to do the same on Kings Lane. So now there would be 10 parking spaces down Kings Lane. Here we are now. This is Jeffries coming up. Here's New Biddeford. And there would be a sign here that would say resident parking only. So these 7 and these 3 now would also be resident only. And this would greatly alleviate folks coming down here, seeing there's no parking, turning up these lanes, whipping around this back and coming racing out into Jeffers Lane, which has been a real problem. So this is the recommendation that we as a group thought might help ease a problem. I think it would be welcomed by our residents to know that they're going to have a much greater chance of finding a parking place. And we would monitor it over the course of the year to see how well they're used. The bottom line to this is it definitely cuts into town revenue. So we're asking something of the town here revenue-wise, to not have those as $30 a day, spots for transients. But
$40.
$40 a day. I'm behind the times, I'm the one that pushed that too.
Yeah.
So, it's a dollars and cents loss, but I think for our residents, hopefully it'll be a real gain.
So those new 8 spots on Kings Highway should be in the residents-only slot, because they're not on our chart.
Right.
They are not on our chart.
Yeah, they should be.
Okay, so there's gonna be 23 spots for the public, okay? I mean, for residents. Got it.
Well, there could be as many as, that's
Yeah,
correct.
got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the idea is we truncate the through traffic that kind of goes
Either way.
east or
Goes
west,
east or west.
coming from New
Mhm.
Bedford and Dyke Road. So that's kind of where we are in terms of what we've set out, but I'm happy to, are you finished, Eddie?
Yeah.
Okay, well, open it up to any questions or comments from the committee, and then we can go to the audience, so.
Well, I'm delighted to hear about the residents only. As the member at large representing presumably the rest of the residents in the town, I am delighted that we are coming to the idea of suggesting that the residents should have some priority on some parking spaces at the beach that's the town treasure. This is wonderful news, and even more spaces. I mean, and I agree with you completely about putting the far east end and the west end in total pretty much just residents-only parking. I think that will alleviate the issue of people terracing down the west end or even going over into the King's Grant area. So thanks very much for doing it that way. And thank you to both Pat, Pam, John, all of you, because you did a whole lot of the footwork. I didn't have to do any of that legwork. You did a great job. Thanks a lot.
I also think, I'm sorry, go ahead, Karen.
No, go ahead.
I also think it's really helpful with the communication with the signage, because that will
Yeah.
avoid
Yeah.
people racing down, trying to get one of the 5 spots or
Right.
4 spots or
Right.
whatever's there,
Right.
realizing it's not running back, and you get unnecessary traffic.
Yeah.
So that sign is important for a lot of reasons, it'll help.
Mhm.
I agree.
Okay.
And just in terms of if whenever we decide the exact spaces, and when they are doing the remarking of these, hash marking each parking space, which is really important, consider whether we might do something on the residents-only spaces to designate whether it's an R in the middle of it or something else, just so that people don't have to remember, or where it's possible for them to park. That might be a help too,
Yeah,
as long as we're in the process of doing the remarking.
The hope is that we're going to move to a phone-based
Parking.
parking system.
No, please, no.
So that,
I know.
it's be similar to a passport app. You'll have a zone, you'll put in of course, your app has your license, and then the licenses will be scanned, and that's how it'll be monitored. And the hope is, now this again is in the works, but my vision is that when we get our resident staff, either, it won't be a sticker, it'll just be a registration. You will put your license plate in that, and when the CSOs scan that license plate, you'll show up as a resident, and therefore you'll be able to park there. If a transient tries to park in that spot, and they put in their zone of where they are, it will check against the database of residents and say, you're not a resident. You don't have permission to park here. And now that's the vision. We'll see how the software works. But
Thank you. Your resident technophobe,
no,
We can
everything's
I might have
doable.
some suggestions or thoughts there, but yeah.
We all have phones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Kara?
I had, great job, really good job. I noticed in other places, my one thought is in Kennebunkport, that where there's parking by driveways, which we seem to, going to have to do the same thing at Goose Rocks Beach, they'd have places for compact cars. And I was wondering if that might help solve a couple of the parking places where they're going to be by a driveway. Just a thought, compact cars.
That's a good idea,
So that's a thought, we could
because that
Yeah.
spot
Yeah.
that we were talking
Make
about,
the
the
spot smaller.
driveway,
Yeah,
if
make
you
it smaller.
If you
truncate it,
truncate that.
It would help the
And
people
How
that
much
are
can you
backing
define
out.
it? They're 20 feet now, so you can go to, if 15, I guess that 5 feet could make a difference.
It could.
Every
If
three
you're
spots.
Backing out of your driveway, it
I
does.
mean, your
Right
car
now,
is
the
not
legal
gonna-
size is 20, I don't know what a compact legal size is.
I don't either.
There must be a
I
definition.
think
But that's where
you
it's
just gotta
looking
keep
at.
in mind that there are a lot of driveways on Dyke Road
Right.
and on Kings Highway, driveways across. So you're talking about enormous amount of compact cars. So just kind of, it's not like it's just a few. Everybody's got, if you walk down Kings Highway and you see a parking, there's driveways all across the whole road. And so
There
is
may be
Dyke.
some of the
So
parking
you just
spaces.
keep that in mind. I mean, I think that would be a difficult thing to try to do, to have that many compact.
Not saying all of them,
Yeah,
But
but
maybe at the margin, you
Yeah.
might. be
but
able
there
to
may
work.
be
Yeah,
some that are
it's-
closer to
it's-
people's driveways
it's
than
difficult for
others.
people.
Yeah.
There are a lot.
Yeah.
You got Chaz on there who wants to talk and two other people.
Okay, is anybody else that's sitting here have something else? I'm gonna go to Chaz and then we'll go to the,
That's all.
okay,
Great.
Chaz, go ahead.
Three quick points. One is what an amazing amount of work and what creativity you've brought to this. I think it's superb. The turnaround on the west end near the pumping station is a worry. I'm worried about signage or whatever. In the morning, there's a million pedestrians, bicycles, people walking down for coffee, and people racing for parking spots. And I'm worried about that people crossing and doing a three-point turn amidst all the foot and bicycle traffic. And so I think we just need to be careful as we design that, and pay attention to how people behave in that. And then the other point, I think I'm correct in saying that a resident can park anywhere,
Correct.
including the other spots. So it's not, these are the only resident
Oh,
spots.
absolutely, that's a good point, Chaz. No, of course.
Great, thank you.
All right, we have a William Ben, I can't pronounce his last name. I'm gonna let him talk.
Okay, perfect. Can you identify yourself and then we're happy to hear what you have to say?
Hi, yes, this is Bill Van Benthuizen, Winter Harbor Road. Just a couple of questions regarding the proposed parking changes. Is the mapping that you're showing tonight going to be available for us to look at somehow so that we can examine the areas that are being proposed?
Actually, this is a GIS layer that I have put on through my ARC account, so no, what I could, what I will do is, and I have the screenshots of these, right? Is
Yeah,
it all the
yeah.
spots?
I think so, yeah.
Can we put
This-
that, let's put that on our page then.
Okay.
So,
Page.
on the BAC. So, yeah, we will have that, we'll have that available for you. How will he know how to get to that? I guess you just go to the website under the Goose Rocks Beach Advisory Committee, and hopefully sometime after tomorrow, you will find screenshots of all the proposed change areas.
Okay. And then the question on the addition of the resident-only parking spaces. As a resident, that is just a resident of Kennebunkport, is that correct?
A taxpayer of Kennebunkport.
Taxpayer of Kennebunkport.
Yeah, yeah, so our non-resident a property owner, with a Kennebunkport property owner, I guess
Right.
is the right way to say that. Yeah.
Regardless of tax residence, I think is what he's saying.
Exactly. It's a property tax, so somebody who owns property in Kennebunkport and pays taxes on that property through their ownership is
Yeah.
eligible for the, what we're calling resident parking, yes.
Okay,
All
that
right.
answers all my questions for tonight. Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
Next one is Maureen.
Okay.
So,
Hi, Maureen from Wildwood Avenue. And first,
Please.
work,
Your last name, Maureen?
Summers.
Okay,
Lot
good,
of
I thought it was.
Got it,
Sorry,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
I-
thanks, Maureen.
So go ahead, yeah.
A lot of work that went into it. Obviously, you can see a lot of work and a lot of hours. And I want to say, I think it's wonderful that we're sharing a little bit of the burden with the West End. And I know that having 169 parking spaces on the East End is kind of a little, you know, unbalanced. So it's nice that there's a thought of going to the West End. I like the opportunity down at the far West End to add that one spot that you have. I do agree that there is an issue with that driveway across, but moving it down a little bit makes good sense, but I think you could get a couple in there, not just one. I think you might get 2 or 3. So you could have potentially 6, maybe 7, I don't know, but it looks to me like looking at that area, you probably could get another squeeze 2 down there if you moved it where John had proposed those 2 areas down there across, just moving it a little more, I guess, east. That to me looks great. If the opportunity comes up at Norwood Lane for that being public access, there's an opportunity there for possibly some more spots for parking that would have public access for folks. I also think that a lot of time is spent, this is my personal opinion, a lot of time is, oh, there's too much traffic at the West End. There's a lot of traffic everywhere, and we feel it a lot on the East End. And I feel like having a sign that says no parking, residents only that way, is really unfair. And I also think that calling people transients is kind of offensive, but maybe that's just me. Just people from away. People could live in Biddeford. Are we calling them transient because they're not from Kennebunkport? I don't know. Personal opinion. And secondly, I would want to make sure that it's legal to have residents-only parking. I live in a beach town, and we're not allowed to have residents-only parking. So I think that's something that probably needs to go through the legal representative for the town to ask if you can do that, because I'm not sure if you can. Anybody is able to buy a badge right now. I know we have a discounted price for folks that live in town and are taxpayers, but I don't know if you can make parking only for residents. So I would just be interested to see if that were a case. So it would be nice. It's a great idea to be able to move a little bit more of the parking down onto the West End and share the burden, I think. And I appreciate all the time that went into that, and I hope that you guys will look into that. And as soon as there's a confirmation on whether or not the area across from Norwood Lane is available and open for public access, that really would be a great opportunity to share more of the burden of the parking.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Maureen.
And
Next.
Wait, hold on a second. Barry's got some.
I just have a comment on that.
Yep.
At the west end of Kings Highway, there are no sidewalks. It's extremely narrow. Putting the spots where they are now, where there's no one on that side, where it's just marsh, it's feasible and it works. Once you start to move the spots down, as this lady has suggested, you're getting into, I'm thinking if you put it in front of the Surratt House or you put it in any of those, it's a jungle. There's just not physically enough room. The other parts of the beach, you have wider road and you have sidewalk. Here you don't. There's absolutely zero room. You are limited to where there's no homes, no driveways, i.e. the marsh.
Yeah. No,
So
I mean,
I
it's
just
not
want
an
to make
easy
that
puzzle.
very
Yeah,
clear.
no,
That becomes an absolute mess.
Yeah.
And Carol, I mean, you see it every day. It's the drive, and never mind the fact when someone's doing, the gardeners are there and the contractors are there. I mean, there's no access.
Yeah.
And you have that on the East End as well. And I would say that on New Biddeford Road, is there a sidewalk on New Bedford Road where all those folks are parking?
The width of that road is
Well, there's a
considerably
path on
wider
the
than
other
what we
side,
have on
yeah.
the west end.
It's not a definitive sidewalk, but it's a
Well, I
path
think they're
that's a-
probably, if you actually go and look at that and measure that, I'd be interested to see, once those people are parking there and people are coming back and forth from Jeffrey's Way and whatnot. Jeffrey's Way is definitely wider, but I think we're just as narrow when you're on the east end, even though there is a sidewalk, you're right across from people's driveways as well. So there is a lot, I understand you have to work in the confines that we have, but it is something I would say, and I believe this was brought up at the select board meeting. Mary Beth had mentioned that was something they were looking into, and about the widths of the road and how narrow they were in certain areas. So, I agree, there's an issue with people speeding everywhere throughout town, and hopefully some of this stuff will used to slow people down is gonna work and be effective.
Okay.
Thank you.
know,
Thank you.
I just go back to when we originally worked on the beach advisory agreement, the beach users agreement, and the issue came up with parking and safety. And there was the comment, it was the late Dave Chisholm, who was at that point head of the fire department. And Dave was saying, you cannot, just for the sake of emergency vehicles going down, add more parking on the west end. I mean, that was as clear as day. I remember Dave talking about it because it came up with the lawyers as far as would they put parking further down on the west end. And it was said, no, the town agreed, they will not do it. So I would hate for anybody to think that the west end is just not going to have parking. It's not safe. Never mind the fact of the added congestion that we're just seeing compared to what was there 15 years ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into this, trust me, we've moved things around, but I think we're trying to find a consensus that works kind of across the broad constituency.
Yep, Mike Nash wants to talk next.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
So my wife and I own 835 Kings Highway, which is on the east end, just east of, I guess, where Dykes Road turns. We'll be a little bit past, a little more than just a little bit down the road. Anyhow, I've raised this before, and I know Kathy and I have talked about this, but in front of our house there's a set of steps that it's the only way out of our lot into the road. And I've asked in the past to have, when they repaint, to sort of leave a space so people can make it up and down those stairs. I think, the issue was a concern that it might need a parking space. But I think in a world where we're having compact parking spaces, I love that proposal. It may make sense to have those parking spaces be in front of 835 so we can have that egress in and out of our lot. I looked, I believe that we are the only house with stairs off the lot on the side of the road where there's no sidewalk. So, and we oftentimes find 3 cars in those spaces with a pair of motorcycles parked in front of our steps, which makes it especially difficult for the elderly people that are often staying with us to get in and out of there. So if there's a way to consider that, we would certainly appreciate it. I do appreciate all the work that's going on in this project. I know it's hard to balance so many different pieces of feedback.
okay, yeah, we'll take a look at that. I'd have to walk and see, I can't visualize it right now, but thank you.
All right, next you have Linda.
Okay,
Hi there, I'm Linda Creamer. I'm at 832 Kings Highway, right opposite Mike Nash, as a matter of fact. And it is difficult when there are 3 cars parked in front of his house for them to use their sidewalk. But the reason for my speaking is, one, I want to thank you all for taking this on. You've all done a lot of work. I've watched you walk the streets. And I wanted to mention to Chaz about that turnaround that you were concerned about at that pumping station. I'm right at the corner of Bellwood and Kings Highway, and they use that intersection constantly as a turnaround. And what makes it more difficult is there's a crosswalk there, and everyone's going and coming to the store, and we have our stomachs in our mouths most of the time, watching what goes on in front of our house. We've put up signs to try to slow people down. I even run out to the street to slow them down. And I don't know what you're going to do to slow these people down, but I think what you guys are doing is a great job. I'm going on too much, but I just wanted to say that. Thank you all.
thank you. Okay,
I had one other
go ahead, Carol.
question.
Yep.
Oh, I
Did-
got Fred Stafford just came up.
Okay.
Did you look into other streets for parking besides Kings Highway, New Bedford Road, and Dyke Road?
We did not.
Okay, hi, it's Fred Stafford. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, I had a question. I don't know how many there are left, but there were quite a few paper roads, roads that were on the original plans for the beach that were never developed. And the only reason I really know about them is Nonotuck ran between our house on Kings Highway and Crescent. And the way those things work is if they haven't been developed by X number of years, the adjoining properties are allowed to purchase them. So my question is, where Crescent runs east, I guess that's east, there Crescent runs east over between Bel Air and Belvedere. I believe that might still be a paper road. So in other words, that's never been developed. And unless the adjoining properties purchased it, that property still belongs to the town. So if that's the case, would that be a place where you could look at putting a couple of resident parking spaces in there?
I think it's been bought.
something to look at.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but I mean, that could be a possibility, and those would be relatively safe spaces, not a big issue with people turning around and all that, I don't know how many you could get in there, but even if it's just two, it could help alleviate some of the issues, in more critical spaces, just something to think about.
Yeah, my understanding is the town does not still own that property, but I may be wrong.
Oh, okay.
I think you're right, because I looked into it when we had the kayaks.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a great place for people to store their kayaks, and I believe the abutters have purchased
Yeah.
that land.
Okay,
Okay, thanks, Fred.
Good idea.
all right, okay, thank you.
It's good
Carol,
thought.
do you have something else?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I think Maureen just raised her hand again.
Oh, hold on, Pat's here, let's let Pat finish.
I just wanted to address Carol Sherman. Just so you know that every road that intersects with Kings Highway on the east end is a 5-lane. So there's no parking on any of those streets. So the only other place would be Community House, which would be way down.
What about, well,
I just wanted you to know, we did kind of look, I looked,
yeah.
we didn't bring that up because there is no other streets, so the only streets to park on. Unless
Well,
I'm
8
missing
years ago, the
something.
fire station used to be back there, but that's where the fire station was?
On
On
Wildwood.
Wildwood.
On
Wildwood.
Wildwood.
It's it's fire lane.
That's when they put the signs up.
They're all fire lanes.
Yeah.
Oh,
As
not-
it's-
not-
So
not
just so
Wildwood.
you knew that. Yeah,
Wildwood's fire lane?
I saw a sign down, I just went down there.
Interesting.
So are they still valid fire lanes?
Sure.
Every road is.
Yeah.
Because they're
Right.
only 20, fire lane has to be at least 20 feet.
20 feet.
Because I haven't made some regulations. Sorry, I just was giving you that.
No, I just was a question, thank you. That was
Okay, thanks.
interesting.
Did you have your hand up? You want to come up and identify yourself, and then we're happy to hear what you have to say.
Hi, I'm Don Gasink on Kings Highway. In terms of your observation that having the line of cars helps slow traffic down, I'm stunned that there wasn't the decision to move the parking spaces from Dyke Road to the pump house onto the right side of the road, because it gives you more parking spaces and no concern with where all those driveways come in.
I can-
Yeah, it's of course, the town right-of-way is larger than the road.
Sure.
But if you were to put parking on that side, there would be too much of the car that would have to be on the pavement. The marsh is very, very close. So that's
Okay.
steep, it's a protected marsh and it drops off. We couldn't fill it even if we wanted to.
Right. So the second question is, do we know what the parking restrictions are on Winter Harbor Road? And is there a way to encourage the non-residents to park on that street? Or are there limitations on both sides of that road? That's a huge zone for parking.
I don't know what the parking limitations are on that road. That's a considerable walk for people, but
I do it all the
I
time.
don't know.
Well, but if you think of the typical family, if it's the husband and partner or wife and the 2 kids, the husband drops the wife and the kids off with all the supplies on Kings Highway, goes up to the parking lot and walks back. So it's not too bad. I mean, it beats not having a parking space.
Well,
I guess is my
It
issue.
does indeed, but it's not as good as having one that's as privileged as everyone else that gets to park at the
Sure.
beach.
The other issue is, I'm a little concerned that if I read this correctly, the resident-only parking places are shrinking the available parking spaces for the
No.
public?
Well, we are public. I mean, when you say the public, what do you?
The non-tax-paying public?
Yes, it does. Yeah, there's 173 spaces, and we're gonna allocate some of the suggestion, the proposal is to allocate some of those for taxpayers only.
Right.
Yes.
Well, but it seems unfortunate to me that if the residents don't use it by, let's say, 10 a.m., that the public can't use them. I could see limiting them for a certain part of the day, but given that the residents can come and park on any other places, including potentially Winter Harbor Road, it seems unfortunate to leave all those spaces vacant if the residents never use them.
It will be interesting to monitor how much those spaces are used, and we'll know more next
Right.
year. I would
Right.
agree with you that something needs to be watched.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And you had Maureen, who had another question.
Okay, Maureen?
Hi, yes, I just wanted to follow up on what was brought up from Fred Stafford with regards to Crescent. In 1997, the state of Maine actually took action to vacate paper streets.
He's talking about you.
Meaning the town can no longer accept them as public roads or claim ownership over them in the future unless they took action and decided to do that. The town of Kennebunkport did take action on the side by the tides as allocated by a sign that they have up that says no dumping. And there's a clearing there. There's like some kind of like a drain or whatever. So that may be an opportunity. The other side of that, I don't know what's going on. If there was a quit claims deed over there, they purchased it, but they just installed a driveway like, I don't know, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. On the other side, I think it would be like 7A, B, and C Bellwood, I don't know, Bel Air. So I don't know, that might be something to look for. He's right, there might be some opportunity to put parking there. And you could probably get a number of streets because it says wide as the street is, which is, 20 feet wide. So that might be an opportunity over there by the tides. And over on Bellwood, if those people did not get a quit claims deed or purchase the property or whatever, it would go to the abutted property owners if the town decided to vacate it. So that would be something that they could look into. So I just wanted to follow up with that. So I wasn't sure if people knew.
Okay,
All right, we got William again.
all right, thank you, Maureen.
William?
It's William Van Benthuizen again, Winter Harbor Road. I'm just hearing the proposal that Winter Harbor Road would be used as a potential parking area would be met with a lot of opposition. But Winter Harbor Road is currently posted at 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's windy road, and it is heavily traveled by pedestrians and cyclists that come up New Bedford Road, cut down Winter Harbor Road, then continue on to Route 9 to do the big loop. It is a heavily traveled pedestrian area, and the idea that adding parking to that street would be a large problem. That was all.
Okay, thank you. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Mary Gickness, and I live on Gravelly Brook Road. And I just want to say, it's so heartwarming to hear that people are considering, the town is considering, losing some revenue in order for residents to go and park at the beach. I'm just, like, thank you, because I didn't get to go to the beach almost all last summer, because there's never any parking. And if I didn't know people at the beach, like we would never, I couldn't go to the beach. So I would love to go to the beach, and I just think it's a great idea, and I just want to thank you for all your work and for even thinking of that. And losing money to support us so that I can go to the beach with my granddaughter, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you know, when you said about if the spots aren't filled by 10, maybe, you know, other people could take them. Well, if you're a resident and you go to the beach, you don't go to the beach at 8 in the morning and stay until 5.
That's right.
You know, you don't. So I may show up at 8 and leave at 10, and then somebody else would come. Because we all have life. We're not on vacation. We have lawns to mow and laundry to do and jobs to go to. So I think it would benefit a lot of people, because there would be sort of a turnover throughout the day. And I don't think those spots would be empty for very long. I guess we have to wait and see and monitor it, but I'm just really grateful. That's all. I'm just really grateful that, you know, you're thinking of the townspeople as opposed to, you know, our visitors from away, putting us a little bit up here.
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, okay, no, thank you.
We have Kristen, that's all I have. She's next.
Okay, Kristen?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so I just want to thank you all for the hard work that you've been doing and how strategic you're being.
Can you
I know it's.
identify yourself? I'm sorry, we're happy to hear you. We just need to.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Kristen Seibold, and my family owns property at 718 Kings Highway.
Okay, great.
And I just want to say thank you for all the hard work that you've been doing. One concern that I just wanted to address is that when my family walks down the street with, you know, we have a couple dogs, we have our child in our carriage, and oftentimes, especially lately, there's been a lot of traffic. And so we just have concerns about how narrow the road is, and then adding that additional parking just kind of poses as a safety concern for
From the pump house.
for the pedestrians walking down the street.
She's talking about from Dyke Road to the pump house.
Yes.
Those
Okay.
routes.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
No.
It is busy.
I can appreciate it. It's, you know,
It's definitely gonna be a
It's
traffic
busy
slowdown there, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's a price to pay.
Busy
Yep.
everywhere.
No, all right, thank you.
Of course, thank you.
I just had a couple of points,
Okay.
because, you know, it sounds like a lot of people wanna add more parking, and that's all well and good, but the beach use agreement spells out the number completely. So I just want people to understand that 173 wasn't pulled out of the air. It was a number that was counted both during the beach use agreement negotiations, and during those, when they were determining where to place the parking, it's really more a basis, it's as much a basis of where the public ways, rights of way to the beach are, as like, let's throw more cars down the west end. Well, you know, there's one public way down the west end, and that's the continuation of Kings Highway to the river. At high tide, you can't even get to the beach, because the water comes right up to the seawall.
That's
there.
into wanting having to use way.
You know, it would be nice to have more parking if we had more public access. I mean, this 173, we're stuck with that. We're not supposed to go up or down, I think.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Well, that's going up though.
No, no,
What?
no.
No, it's
We're staying right
173.
at
We're just-
173.
Okay, anybody else online?
Nope, I don't have any answers.
Any other comments here?
I'd love to see the maps also.
Okay, we will get them disseminated.
Quickly,
Can you come up here, sorry, we just want everybody else to hear you, I'm sorry. Yeah, we do, you do too.
But parking as far away as Winter Harbor Road, that can't be within the zone of the limitation on beach parking, is it?
That's
If
part
it's
of
for
the
beach access, yes.
Goose Rocks Beach, yeah, I mean, that's,
That's part of the Goose Rock
So-
zone. 500 feet the other side of Route 9 is Goose Rock zone.
That's bizarre. Why is the parking so limited on a street like Winter Harbor Road, which is nowhere close to the beach? Or how binding is the limitation on the number of
We
spaces?
have, this is 173.
And those balances can also be removed from your
I'm
trying to read them, hold on.
By the beach use agreement that was established in 2013 or so, there are 173 spots that are available for beach access parking,
I got that.
in which people can pay to park there. Most other streets, I mean, everyone needs to have a sticker, or in our old way of doing it, they had to have either a resident or a weekly or a monthly or a seasonal sticker.
No, I understand that, but, so I guess my question is, to even put parking on the Winter Harbor Road, which seems so logical to me, how do you get an amendment to the beach use agreement is the question.
I don't think you do or need it, to be honest with you. If it isn't marked as no parking, then parking is available.
Then non-residents should be directed to that street if possible, it seems to me. Both to get the
Why?
town the money, but also to save the spaces for the residents closer to the beach.
Well, they're not directed. Anyone knows you can park anywhere that doesn't have a no parking. People don't wish to park in Winters Harbor and walk down to the beach.
No, I understand that part. Yeah, I
Well,
know, remember my
not only-
couple, husband and wife. Anyway, okay.
Okay,
enough.
I mean, not only is it,
Many
yes,
husbands don't wish to walk down from that distance.
Well,
and
they're not
those
all
of
that
us-
lazy, are they?
excuse me, and those of us, we also have to keep in mind with Winter Harbor that the most common way to get from Winter Harbor to the beach, either by car or on foot, is through the private roads that are back there,
Right.
that are supposed to be for residents only, not part of a system to allow people to park up on Winter Harbor, which they, you know, if they want to park there and there's no parking and it's a sticker, they can walk to the beach. But then we're going to simply increase what we've already got as a problem for the people that live back on those private roads and pay to maintain them, et cetera, that we now might increase the road traffic, car traffic to get to Winter Harbor, as well as to get down to the beach. So that's something that I think we have to look at.
For your area, that's a concern, I know. And
Yeah.
that's why they have that painted walking zone along the New Bedford Road, I think. to
Yeah,
alleviate
and that, yeah,
Okay.
not an easy answer anywhere, so.
There's no perfect answer.
Yeah.
So the non-residents with parking stickers can park on Winter Harbor Road. They just may not know it.
I don't know.
If it's not marked as no parking,
Yeah.
then one's able to park. I believe that's a true statement, but you need to verify that.
Well, wait a
Well,
minute,
but
John.
but
I
do
think
they
I would
need a
disagree
parking
with that.
Yeah,
They
can't park on Route 9. so
They
when-
can't park on Winter Harbor unless they're part of the 173 designated spaces. That's what, if there are no more 173 spaces, they're all filled, to say you can go up to Winter Harbor and park there and walk down, that is a violation of the 173 for beach access. If you're parking on Winter Harbor to visit Aunt Nellie who lives there, that's a completely different story. And that leads to enforcement issues.
And interpretation issues, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, one of the things we want to do once we settle on where these are going to be is have a campaign to educate people as to where the 173 spots are, because I think there is some confusion out there.
Mhm.
Sorry, Bill, did you have something, or Bear, did you have something else?
No, I already spoke.
We got William.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, William. I guess. All right.
Okay, so we will put the map out on the Beach Advisory website. Just give us a day or two to figure out how to do that. John's gonna help do that, right? And then we will follow up and, take this up at the January meeting, hopefully have a proposal that we can vote on to advance to the select board as a suggestion. So, I think I am finished. I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Okay, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
All right.
yes.